Just got it. Mm.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. I know it seems weird, but we're live. That's how it works. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. I am in Sedona right now. Just got back from Egypt. It's fun. It's great to be reunited with Aaron, and I have with me tonight Alexis from Ascension Diaries and Jace.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, come way in here. Oh, you're in there. It's just delayed. Um, and then we have Lily Nova with us this evening. So let me just pull this Zoom call back up so we can just do this.
Yeah.
It'll be a lot easier. And yeah, I'll just be in the chat. So anyway, sorry guys, this is kind of a makeshift setup. We literally just got back from Egypt last night, and this is all kind of impromptu. Really didn't know what we were going to be doing, but we wanted to talk about our trip and all the things we discovered, our experiences. I mean, there's so many things happened. We're still processing it, but while the energy's still fresh, we figured we'd go live and just share everything with you guys in real time as we kind of discuss it and break it down and just share our experiences. And Aaron went to Egypt last year with Carrie Cassidy's tour, so it'll be really interesting to compare notes.
2 years ago, actually.
2 years ago.
It's been that long now.
Really?
Yeah. Feels
Time.
like last year. Yeah, it was actually
Yeah.
2 years.
So it'll be interesting to compare notes though, like what it was like then and like what we're experiencing now, because obviously, the internet is, rampant with this discovery, right? There's columns under the Great Pyramid of Giza, and we were just in Egypt and no one's talking about it. Actually, before our trip, I asked our guide, our archaeologist, if he knew anything about it, and he didn't. So he asked everyone he knew, and they just acted like they didn't know what he was talking about. I'm like, really? I'm like, the whole internet's exploding with this, like breaking news from Egypt. But in Egypt, no one's talking about it. So it kind of shows you the power of the internet. And secondly, I think it's a good lesson that we just don't always believe all the hype and everything. Because from the outside looking in, you would just assume that like there's all this action and all this stuff taking place in Egypt, but really it's the opposite.
They have a tight control of the narrative over there, was what I realized 2 years ago on my trip. They do
Right.
not like you speaking out about things that go against their narrative. Do not like it.
Right. So yeah, the Egyptian government, they're trying to keep a lid on it, and it's very interesting.
Oh yeah.
But before we get into all that, so I want to remind everybody that our conference is coming up right around the corner, May 12th through the 15th in Grafton, Illinois. And for 24 hours, we are doing a flash sale. I actually forgot to even tell you about this, Aaron. Been so busy. We're doing a flash sale, 15% off the 4-day passes and the live stream passes with promo code Egypt. So if you go to journeytotruth.online, that link is below in the description. You can save 15% off the 4-day passes and the live stream passes with promo code Egypt for 24 hours. So take advantage of that if you want to come. We can't wait to see you there. It's going to be a blast. Lily is going to be speaking. Hopefully, Jason and Alexis are going to show up. Maybe you could set up a table and talk about it. It'll be a lot of fun. And I'll make that announcement a few times throughout the episode as people pour in.
Mhm.
So, Lily, what was the trip like for you?
Wow. I mean, it was pretty blowing. It's different from seeing pictures and then actually being there in real life. And a lot of these structures, they're just very, very massive. A lot of these ancient sites, the energy that they contain is very, very activating. And also, you'll notice once you get to looking at these hieroglyphs and these sites, it becomes way more apparent that they don't kind of the main narrative, like of most of the time, they don't know what they're talking about.
Oh yeah.
It's like open to interpretation, and they're interpreting it, in their way. Like some of the signs and symbols and depictions, the stories that are painted on the wall, and just the way that some of the things are set up, like in the Great Pyramid, which we got to do on our last day on the trip. Just being inside of that, it was very obvious to me that this isn't a tomb, and how could anybody even think that it is? That's what it is. So
Right.
so yeah, it that's in a nutshell, that's kind of how it was.
Right,
Very
and
exciting.
actually Jace brought to my attention that it's the Great Pyramid is the only site that we've been to in Egypt that doesn't have hieroglyphs on the inside.
Right.
So,
It's not made for people
right, it's
to be going in.
it's not made for people to be
Yeah.
going, and I actually believe that the King's Chamber was more of I would say, a teleportation chamber that
Mhm.
might send you off to another planet. It seemed more like a technology. The pyramid we understand as a technology, but when we went to the subterranean chamber, and it went even deeper than that, and we couldn't, obviously go any further because it was fenced off. It was so similar. It reminded me of a boiler room. I'm in construction, and it reminded me of like an engine room or a boiler room. Like this is where the power source would be, and either there was water. It was, working with the water there, and manipulating the water levels or funneling energy up those shafts. It was clear to me that people weren't going up and down those shafts. Like this was a channeling energy, right? Like a pipe, like a pipeline. So that part was really interesting to me. And, we watched the videos, but being there in person, obviously, it's a lot different. And everywhere we went around the Giza Plateau, you could see these entrances and these doorways that clearly were going underground, and they're just off limits for everybody. And the way these tours are set up, you're kind of rushed through all the sites. You see everything, but you don't have time to even think about it. Next thing you know, you're riding a camel, then you're on the bus, you're going home. And like, oh, and then you forget about it. You're like, oh, I saw that, but they don't allow people time to actually investigate. They don't like you meditating or connecting spiritually. And that's obviously because that's part of the controlled narrative. But explain, I guess, what you were seeing, what you were saying about no hieroglyphs inside, and you were kind of connecting it with the Law of One material.
Yeah, so as he mentioned, I don't know about the other two pyramids at Giza. That's what I was asking you, but you said you didn't see the inside, so you weren't 100% sure. But for sure, the Great Pyramid supposedly doesn't have any hieroglyphs on the inside, which is like, everything else is you guys saw in Egypt, pretty much everything else had.
Every
Hieroglyphs,
square
right?
inch is
Yeah.
covered.
So, like,
Every temple, everything else is tons and tons of hieroglyphs. Yeah.
Everywhere.
So like, what's the chances the biggest, most famous piece of architecture there just has no hieroglyphs?
Yeah,
And then
just none. Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
so the Law of One books, the raw material and those channelings, they say that the Great Pyramid, at least, was created basically through a manifestation down from higher realms,
Mhm.
where it phased into reality. And when asked, well, why didn't they make it something like super fancy looking? Why wasn't it, made of super shiny metal or, something that didn't look like it could be human made? They basically said that they had to create it with our free will in mind, where, we had to question whether or not it was, from some kind of higher dimensional source or if it was humans. And they even say like, what did the people think at the time? Don in the books asked like, did people like lose their mind? Like, and they said, yeah, basically people were very shocked. It was very surprising to say the least, but that I guess the pharaoh at the time, I think they said it was Imhotep, which is that the one that you said was Akhenaten's dad?
Amenhotep.
Okay.
Amenhotep the third is Akhenaten's father.
Okay, so two prior to him then.
Interesting.
I'm guessing if it's the same lineage.
Yeah.
Apparently he was the one that they associated with creating it because it was still unclear to them, like what was the source of it. It kind of just appeared. So I guess he went from being like a pharaoh to being a deity, which if you go look on even like Wikipedia, it'll tell you, he was deified over time. So yeah. And they say it was created with something called everlasting stone. So basically it's intelligent stone, it's intelligent matter, which probably is related to the harmonics of, taking the earth and being able to mold things with acoustics and vibration, but coming from a higher dimensional level rather than from a human technology.
Yeah, so the whole concept of that is super fascinating. The fact that they could have easily just manifested it into our reality, created it with a thought form as a one solid stone.
Exactly.
But they had to make it look like it was built to help us like perceive it, right?
Yeah.
So make sense of it, like
So that basically we wouldn't like just assume it was God and then overly, deify the source of it. It's like our free will is like the most important thing at the end of the day.
right. And then you got some information when you were connecting with the Sphinx, and it's all right there. So obviously, it all played a role, and there's the theory of the second Sphinx too. But what were you tapping into with the Sphinx?
Well, while we were there, and we got kind of like special access where we were able to, can we say that?
Yeah, sure. We're already saying it now.
Yeah. Where we were able to go in, we could actually like touch the Sphinx. So we
Yeah,
were,
we
Did
did as
you?
well. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So like kind of the main, most of the people, they, you know, you have to stay behind the things up kind of higher up. So we were able to go down ground level and go in between the Sphinx's paws. But as we were pulling up, I saw like a huge ship in the sky. With my third eye kind of like phasing in and out. It wasn't like fully like manifest, but a huge spaceship. In between, like an hour or so later, in between the pause, I looked up and I saw a huge golden sphere suspended above the Sphinx, and then a golden light coming down from it and going into the Sphinx's crown, like into the crown chakra. And it was just kind of suspended there. And it kind of reminded me, it felt like it had something to do with time in that golden orb. Like there was just, I don't really know how to really put it into words, and I'd like to kind of tap into it more, but it could have connection with the halls of Amenti and the sphere of Amenti. But yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting, so I'm looking forward to diving into that more. It's just this huge golden sphere suspended above the Sphinx that I was
Pretty
able
cool.
to see.
And the sphere of Amenti is mentioned in the Voyager material, Oceana Dean. And I don't think it's any coincidence that you were reading that on the plane right after that happened. And you also, didn't you see like beneath the pyramid being like a mechanism
Yes.
similar to a clock, like gears almost?
Yeah, this was either right before, I think, or right after we went. I saw, yeah, it was interesting. I was able to kind of like tap in interdimensionally and see below the surface, way below the surface, like kind of these gears or these structures turning and reconnecting and starting to activate under the Great Pyramid. And it felt like a huge mechanism, like a huge kind of like almost mechanical thing, interdimensional mechanical thing. And like tapping into it a little bit more, it feels like almost like an ascension mechanism that as it's reactivated and connected, and I feel that was part of the work that we were doing there, and many of us are doing, and we're all playing a part in this, is reconnecting and reactivating that. And of course, that's interacting with our frequency and level of consciousness too, I believe. And it's going to literally help us ascend into higher dimensions. And I also kept hearing time travel device on the way to the Great Pyramid. So I feel like it's going to push us into a different time space area, I guess.
Like a time warp.
Time warp is another word I heard.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, so it's interesting too, is the known, okay, well, somebody in our group asked our guide about, she's like, surely somebody has technology and they've mapped, they've done ground penetrating radar and they know what's under here. They don't even, without having to dig for it. And he said, she's like, have you ever seen it? He's like, I have been in some. He goes, but the people that know the real stuff, he goes, the people that have that information have a top secret clearance. It's the military's involved. So this isn't just archaeologists or the Egyptian government or the police. This is military protecting these secrets because, in my opinion, it's a technology that they may even still be utilizing in part of like the space program, secret space program, or whatever it is, potential stargates, which we were tapping into stargates beneath a couple of the sites, and we had some really interesting synchronicities. We were in the Valley of the Kings, and you were sensing a stargate underneath the Valley of the Kings. And in one of the tombs, I saw this guy walking around with a Camp David shirt, which is,
Really?
Cheyenne Mountain, which is a stargate. And it's just like a synchronicity, and it was such a random thing. But we have to read between the lines because it's very apparent that the disclosure of this, we are going to force their hand for any of these announcements or discoveries to become official in any capacity. It has to be us that gets the ball rolling, I think. And that's what's happening right now. you know, people claim it's a distraction and blah, 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 but it's all inevitable and it's just the way it's happening and it's all happening perfectly.
I'd like to add something. While we were in Cairo specifically, a couple of times I kind of like saw some visions and got some downloads about and there were some important meetings taking place at the hotel. I don't know if you want to talk about that, like that
Yeah.
aspect at all. But where we stayed in Cairo was very not coincidence, but it was literally like where the elite meet. Like one of the days we were there at this hotel, and it's like in an old palace. They were meeting with like the Swiss, like the leader of these different countries.
There was like world meetings happening in the hotel we
Yeah.
were in.
Really?
Like the elites were walking around in their suits. There was like what they call the Egyptian council was there, the president, I mean, everybody. And we were sensing that there was like a jump room in that hotel, and all the synchronicities were just pointing to it. And I even got on one of the elevators, and this guy comes in with a suit, and we've heard this from whistleblowers. He comes in with a suit, literally uses a key to open up a panel on the elevator that had more buttons, and he pushed the button and closed it back up. I got off the elevator, and I don't know what floor he went to. And then she was tapping in. She was like, I'm sensing a jump room on the third floor in one part of the palace. So we went over there to explore, and there's 4 floors to the let's say my internet connection's unstable. There's 4 floors in the in that palace, but the elevator has 1, 2, and 4. There's no third floor in the elevator. So you
Really?
can't even get there, which is super interesting, and
Nailed
that's
it.
the floor that she was sensing.
Well, they make it obvious enough. Because, jeez.
Yeah.
And there was
1, 2,
Stargate,
4.
there was symbology everywhere.
For stargates and portals, like it was, and then like
Really?
even in the elevator, it was like travel back in time. It said it on in the elevator, and time it was like
Really?
travel. Yeah, I'm not even joking.
It's almost like, you know, they have to always tell us
Yeah,
in plain sight what they're doing. It's, to me, that's what all that is that, okay, we got to tell them, you know,
right.
otherwise, why would they make it so obvious?
Yeah.
Right. But while we were in Cairo, besides that, there was a bunch of strange stuff with that. I picked up on a few times that there were like, you know, meetings taking place in kind of like a damage control, about what's going
The discoveries, right?
on. Discoveries and trying to, you know, hush hush it or whatever. I was picking up on the Smithsonian. I was seeing like military stuff like that. Something with the leader of different countries, specific countries and all of that. And one of whom was at that meeting of elites at that palace.
So it did feel like there was abnormally high presence there, like more than there would normally be
Yeah,
because of what they were. Yeah.
right. Yeah, so interesting also about, so we kind of went to go explore. Actually, me and 2 other people in the group, we went to go there's a casino in the hotel. We were like, let's go, you know, play in the casino
yeah.
just to say we did it in Egypt, you know, but it was closed. So it kind of, we were like, well, let's go explore this part of the hotel we're not supposed to go to. So we went up to the 4th floor. It was like the accounting offices and stuff. And then it took us to the roof, and then we went down to the next floor and we went in. Everything, this is like a palace, like a royal palace. So everything looks like you're in like Buckingham Palace. It feels like
we
that.
just stayed in like a normal fancy hotel. I'm jealous.
Yeah.
We're in Palace.
We were
Yeah.
at the elite hotel.
You missed out, bro.
Right.
Yeah, apparently.
So, but anyway, so we started exploring. We go into this room and we were feeling there's mirrors everywhere in this hotel too, and mirrors across from each other. So it creates these like portals and stuff. But we were in this room and we were getting this really weird, eerie feeling, and this guy just like manifested out of nowhere. And they must have been watching us on the cameras because we were clearly not supposed to be in there. And he starts like giving us this history of the hotel, and he's like takes my camera. He's like, here, let me take a picture. He's making us pose. We did this like whole photo shoot, and he's walking us through. And then we got to this one point, and he made us stand between the 2 mirrors, right? And he's like, he called the Hall of Mirrors, and he kept emphasizing how there's like an infinity of mirrors. You know, he didn't speak great English, and he was like making us all stand in that area, and we think we had some sort of like a weird missing time thing, and even
Really?
Well, I heard that, yeah, later. that night, I heard 1 hour, that night, I heard 1 hour missing time very clearly in my head as I was like half asleep. And then I tapped into it. I was like, me or who are you talking about? And I saw a vision of Tyler and all the mirrors is what I saw.
Yeah, and I took this really eerie picture of like all the mirrors, and it looks like just
You should pull it
Is
up.
it the
I-
halls
I-
of Amenti?
right. Who
Is that what it
knows?
was?
Right.
Right.
Somebody was asking about the
Yeah,
elevator.
so this was in the floor of every elevator, which is
Ah.
I think Arkim Ra says that that compass is like a symbol that there's a stargate or a portal jumping.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but anyway, I want to actually bring Alexis in and get her thoughts and feelings about like what specifically Giza Plateau and what's happening underneath it and what you're tapping into on a higher level and what's going on with that.
Well, what was crazy is that you guys all went out there right when this announcement happened, and then that it was being brought out from Egypt, but then somehow not accepted all by Egypt. And then I guess the dignitaries freaked out and had a party. I don't know. But the technology underneath, while we were here in Sedona, ironically, for an event, everybody was on stage wanting to talk about the technology and the pyramids and then other sacred sites like Angkor Wat keeps coming up a lot now. Yeah.
Yeah,
big,
I've been feeling that
huge,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's next, I assume, and something in
makes
Brazil also. So I don't know what that's about yet, but technology underneath, a friend of mine actually messaged and said that when that was released, that footage and that device, which is just a resonating, it's almost like a little anchor that plunges into the earth, I think, and it balances the electromagnetic field of the earth and it's with its own resonance. But I think you can also travel up those tubes and leave out of the pyramid. Many people say that that's very possible, and they astral project out of the pyramids all different directions, different star systems. Seems to be still checking out, but the way that the system is underneath now, it makes more sense. So they built all that momentum. Like the physics of it is awesome. It makes total sense. And Arcturus Ra was there, and he was selling these Dejed like pendants that have crystal like nano quartz in them. So they're very powerful, very similar type of technology also, I think, under the pyramids. And it was just so exciting that we actually got the name of the technology they're using also to scan everything. So we can be like, let's SAR this and that. And like, we can ask for it now. I think they're asking us to ask for it is the message I got. Was like, great, now let's go find all the other nodes that are holding this planet together and protecting it, because it's a protective and energetic system where if you want to clear your vessel, you can go in there and it'll resonate harder than you. So you will become it, in my opinion, and then clarify what you really are and what it really is. It'll stay with you for lifetimes. I think everyone should probably go into one of these devices if they want it to spiritually engage their life. It's probably a necessity for everybody, which is why they're all over the world too. So I'm excited for that to be just normal, like technology we use casually. Should be refreshing when you travel to these things instead of draining. And so I want the
Right.
system to be healthy. And here in Sedona, we've noticed the same thing, and it was very draining here for a while and spongy, like Katie was saying as well. It's a spongy energy. Sometimes it sucks from you, but here, feminine wise, I was feeling rejuvenated for the first time when we were here this weekend. And we've lived here, so it was different. And whatever I think, yeah. So you were physically there to shift. I think the main one potentially, and then the other ones are now turning on and systematically shifting. So you'll all be called to go to one and fix it up or re-engage it or reclaim it.
Yeah.
And I think it's all good. Like this is more of a casual earth spirituality in a lot of the time that it bridges between the friendlies in space and time. It's cool. It's benevolent.
Yeah. And I would recommend if anybody does want to go and do actual work, know which site you want to work on and don't go with a tour, like a whole group. Well, just simply because you won't have enough time to actually connect. You're going to be rushed through the tour.
Yeah.
I would go with a more of a smaller private group and not having like a tour guide, but just kind of go with your own group of friends and really do the work. I feel like that's going to be more potent next time. Yeah. So I also want to talk about two things. On the backside of the Sphinx, we were told a story of, we were shown an entrance that goes underneath of it. And we were told of a story that this little boy, I don't know what year, he went down that and got lost and ended up 35 miles away at a subway station underground. So that right there tells you that there's an extensive network that you can access right beneath the Sphinx. And who knows what else that leads to, probably all over Egypt. But we went to, I think it's called Abu Simbel. I don't have, this is all like rudimentary right now, guys, but you can see, you know, this site, Aaron. You
Yeah.
went,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We
yeah,
went
yeah.
there.
So this is like, this is a knockoff site. This was modern. It was done in the 60s. And they tell you that it was relocated from the
Mhm.
lower portion of the plateau up to the upper portion, and they
Because
built,
there's a huge lake.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
saying that.
but they built a dam. They built a dam and flooded the original site, and they even showed us this documentary, and the documentary is edited together, so you never actually see them relocate the actual site. It's all cleverly spliced together. So what we were all tapping into was they never relocated any of it. It's an exact replica on the surface because we were looking at them like this doesn't look like it's not nearly as pristine or precise as any site we've been to all over Egypt. It was
Mhm.
very rough and it was done in sandstone. It's not going to last another 50 years. I mean, it's already eroding. And
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
yeah,
that
so
doesn't. How
It
did it
looks
last
like a
thousands of
cheap,
years and now it's eroding already? Yeah, it doesn't.
right.
it looks like, yeah, it looks like a cheap knockoff. If you go to the other sites and really just kind of like feel into
I
it, you're
did
usually-
not pick up on that, but now that you're saying that, that
So,
lines up.
so
Makes
what we realized is that the actual site, they show you where it was supposed to originally have been, and in the documentary, they
Mhm.
say they buried it in sand and then flooded it. Well, the only reason they were buried in sand is to preserve it, to keep it from eroding. But we think none of it was moved, and it was the entire original thing is below, but they moved it up for tourism, right? It's
Yeah.
amazing, and they filmed a Hollywood movie there, and it was like there's a big production that went on there. So
It's a movie set.
it's a big movie set.
It's a big move.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we got the impression that whatever was actually there is significant, and there's a reason they literally built a dam and flooded it. And
Oh yeah.
I don't know if we're talking about a Stargate. You were seeing some sort of like gem or something, weren't you?
Yeah, but I was picking up on like a Stargate portal. And then I was seeing a lot of like emerald green, like it reminded me of like emerald green order, emerald green tablets, and like a huge emerald green, yeah, stone or gem. I don't know if you want me to share my experience with that.
Yeah, out by the water.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we decided to go by the water, and to go feel it out. Cause yeah, inside of there, I had some communications and there was some energy going on inside of the temple. But yeah, it just didn't look right. And it felt there was a layer of kind of like fake feeling. It just didn't feel like super authentic, but it's right above basically where the real stuff is. So there was still some energy there, but we decided to go over to the water and you could definitely feel the energy shift near the water. And when I closed my eyes to just kind of like tap in and see, and then that's whenever I saw like this Stargate portal and I connected with it. And it felt like very, very, very important. Like this was something incredibly important and powerful. And I experienced some soul retrieval that happened from my Lyran ancestry that came through the Stargate portal from the Celestial and returned back to me.
And that's where you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which was pretty crazy. I wasn't expecting that to come through the portal or Stargate, but that's what did. Some of my kind of like fragmented lost light, and maybe I'll get soul memories from that and reactivate soul gifts, Lyran DNA, stuff like that. But that's what came through, and then I saw the emerald green energy and gem after that.
Awesome.
And you were seeing it connecting to Karnak,
Oh yeah, yeah.
which is pretty far away, and you were like,
Oh,
and we were thinking like tunnels, and you were like, no, portal, like portals to Karnak. So then we were also like passing these quarries when we were cruising down the Nile, and they claimed that the stones were like quarried there and then brought by boat, but you were getting a hit like, oh no, these stones, they were portaled to the sites. Like they could just portal transfer them. They weren't bringing them onto a boat and then, bringing them back like these
Right.
gigantic, so 500 miles away, you know what I'm saying?
We'll be doing it next week.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
glad
that
you-
makes way more sense.
I mean,
Um,
I'm sure some of it might have been moved. We're just, tapping into what we're feeling. Like there's no evidence for some of these claims besides our intuition. But it's really just we're sharing this to get to, spark an idea in other people and,
Mhm.
change the perspective on the history that we're told, the false
Yeah.
history.
And to help everyone remember, like hopefully this triggers something in you if you resonate with it. You can feel into that.
Uncensored.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Our trip was funny because it was led by, as far as I'm concerned, it was led by Carrie Cassidy and Maria Wheatley, but it was like led by the mainstream Egyptologist guy because anytime you have a group, you have to do it that way. You can't just like show up and be like, "Hey, we're gonna tour around." Like they make you si sign up for that, that and have a
Oh.
Egyptologist tour guide, and he tells you what everything is, the whole mainstream narrative. But this guy obviously, Carrie's worked with him a bunch of times before, that same company. Well, this guy was different. There used to be a different guy, but then he became the head of the company or something, and this was like a new guy, but he knew what we were all about. He knew what we believed, but like we started getting the impression as the trip went on that he knew a lot more than he could say, and that he knew even a lot of what he said was not really accurate, but he had to say it, otherwise he wouldn't be an Egyptologist anymore and
Same.
possibly arrested and who knows what. Um, but it was funny because like he would talk and talk and talk and talk about, it just go on and on every detail about everything. And then at first, earlier in the trip, Carrie was like, after he get to talking, she'd be like, "All right, I think a lot of that's BS. That's all BS. Here's what this actually is, or here's what I think this actually is. You make up your own mind." And it was great because what she said made way more sense, and it usually aligned with what I was thinking anyway. Or she said a lot of things that were very enlightening, and I'm like, wow, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then I can't remember where, but she almost got arrested because she was speaking in public at a site, and the fact that she's a woman made it like that much worse, and because in their culture, that's just how it is, unfortunately. And yeah, she almost got arrested, like very, very close. And from that point on, she could only talk on like the bus rides. So I have a lot of video of her talking like on the speaker on the bus. If you're signed up to our Patreon, you can watch. I made a whole compilation of all the video I took. But yeah, they very tightly control the narrative over there. So it didn't surprise me when you said like, "Hey, why isn't Egypt talking about this new discovery? Like everyone else is talking about it but Egypt." I'm like, yeah, they don't want that information out there. They
Right.
they do not want anyone knowing anything other than what that mainstream official narrative. They just want you all thinking that's it. Don't look any further. Nothing to see here. They're
Right.
very, very controlling
And,
of
and
that.
what I found interesting too is when we were leaving at the Cairo airport, there was a bookstore, like a small bookstore, and all the books were in Arabic, right? Like everything. They had one tiny row of like American books, and the
Mhm.
one prominent book on the shelf was 1984, George
Yeah,
Orwell.
very
And
apropos. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like I wonder if they don't know what this says because I don't think they would have it on the shelf if they
Or is
knew.
that part of like they're telling you in plain sight kind of
Right,
thing?
It was not translated. They didn't have the translated version
right,
on the other
Right.
shelf.
right.
Right.
So I
Right.
want, there's a lot we can talk about with Egypt, but I also want to talk about the Ark of the Covenant too, because
Mm.
the CIA document, right, that was released, and it talks about the remote viewing data of the Ark being located in somewhere in Ethiopia and very specific details about it. And we kind of tapped into it a little bit. I know Lily was tapping into it, and I know you probably have some stuff to share. But one thing I wanted to bring up is that Trump has a replica of the Ark in Mar-a-Lago, and
Right.
one of the theories is that's not a replica, that's the actual thing just hiding in plain sight.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Right.
Me
It's still
either.
there.
wouldn't-
It's
What did
still,
they do
it's,
with it?
it's still there, yeah.
Yeah.
So, we have like, and a number of people think it's, locked away in Ethiopia. And then, some people say it was taken to the Grand Canyon. Some people believe it's buried on Oak Island. Obviously, that remote viewing data is from decades ago, so it could have been moved,
Oh, yeah.
obviously. And maybe Trump does have it. And that would be like the ultimate power move, right? To be like,
Or
onto
what if
that.
there's more than one and he has
Well,
one of them and there's others?
That's another likely theory. So, Lily, what's up with you? What do you tap into when you feel the arc, even what it is and where it's located?
So I didn't know really anything about it, till not too long ago. I was doing a reading for somebody and they asked about it. And during the reading, so I tapped into that. I saw, interestingly, Mother Mary appear, and she had a staff, some sort of like a staff in her arms, and she was like walking up with that. And then she showed me it was the kind of this rod staff like thing, and then she showed me a huge kind of like portal, Stargate, that maybe that's the key to it. And she said that showed me that that's what the Ark of the Covenant was. And since then, the Alliance has been hinting at more discoveries on that, or more information on that coming up. And I'm like seeing like the Templars and stuff as I'm just talking about it and picking up on that energy. And I've been seeing that a lot. They've been hinting at that. I'm seeing it right now, like hidden underground. And I've also picked up on there being more than one. The number 6 comes up a lot. Like I feel the number 6, but yeah, so that's what I got so far.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You lit up when I brought it up. So what do you have
Very
to say?
excited. I think one of them's in a river and the water you can't touch, because I dreamt about that the day before that the announcement was made about the remote viewing. But fun part about remote viewing is if they give you a target and you're actually good at remote viewing, you'll figure out where it's at, or at least the one in Ethiopia, and you can look at it and visit it. It was an invitation, in my opinion, to visit it and engage it and believe in it. But yeah, I think there's one river out there we should not be going in. For some reason, it was like, watch the water, like literally, and be careful of whatever body of water you touch, because I had never knew that was a possibility, but I got warned about it. So,
Well, what do you think will happen if you touch it though?
well, in the dream, literally, the person erupted into like a blue plasma light and exploded and it was visceral, like I felt it in my dream. So it was like, oh, don't touch that. So it was pretty powerful. And I saw the Indiana Jones, so I know a little bit about what they gave through Hollywood, what the Ark is capable of. And I didn't see it like it was even brighter. You know what I mean? It was very powerful. And the only thing I can think of is plasma. It creates a plasma.
Well, then the CIA document, the remote viewing data said that anyone who tries to like break into it will be destroyed.
Totally.
Like they'll just be it has to be activated with the right key, and it said once it's discovered, it will be simpler than you realize. And I think it's just like a simple key phrase, like it's voice activated or something. And yeah, come on in, Jace. I think it will be something as simple as like open sesame, but we just it has to be the right sequence spoken in the right order or something along those lines, possibly DNA activated. But Jace, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, my understanding too is you have to be a vibrational match with it to use it. Like if you're coming at it with power and greed, most likely it's going to end up like with what she was talking about in the Indiana Jones scenario. But if you're coming at it with higher intentions and with the service of all, I think that's one of those keys that gets you in. I also got a hit when we were living here in Sedona in 2020, 2021. We were living right by Airport Mesa Vortex, like literally right under it. And there was tons of military activity that year in particular around the 2020 election. And what I was seeing was that stuff was being flown in and out. And one of the things that I saw was that the Ark was there for a moment in time in Airport Vortex. I don't think it's there anymore, but that was a hit that I got, and that they were clearing out the domes and the tunnels, and it was going through Airport as the kind of pathway in and out of the city.
Wow. Yeah, I remember you telling a story one time. Isn't there like an airport or something around here without an air traffic control tower? Were you saying?
Well, yeah, I don't know about air traffic control. There's definitely the main airport in town. I
Right.
think you're right, might not have air traffic control. I forgot about that.
Yeah, you were telling me a story years ago, like how you would see these like black vehicles like come and go, and like these planes would come and go, but there was no air, there's no tower directing the traffic. Like it was this
Yeah.
very covert like airport.
There was tons of Blackhawks and Apaches, and I mean, you get a lot of that in Sedona anyway, but in that year, 2020 was like every day, like 5 Blackhawks come in, land at the airport, take off 10 minutes later, like constantly. And there was also the Masonic lodge that's up there that I think closed in 2017, where literally private jets come in, the lodge is right there,
Right.
who knows what was happening, but I think there's also tunnels that go down from there and out into the surrounding areas and into Secret Canyon in the back, which is like the kind of west, if you go west of Sedona, Secret Canyon is where so many people, including somebody we know, have encountered military out there and like Blackhawks that come up, people in suits with guns that say, hey, turn around, like if they're hiking in the middle of the night. So yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff.
That's where
Right.
I want to go.
Right.
Yeah, I think I
feel like
remember Tom Dongo talking about
Yep,
experiences
I
like
read
that
about
over there.
that
That's
in the
what he
book.
talks about. Yeah.
It feels better now. It feels like it's not 100% clean, but it feels like a lot of it got cleaned up in the early 2020s.
Right. Yeah, and our friend Rion talked about Project Paperclip scientists living here in Sedona, and it's like, okay, there's something more going on here. Obviously, there's a number of military bases, which we talked about it on our episode I did with Tony Rodriguez before I went to Egypt. So if anyone's interested, go check that out. But I want to get back to Egypt a little bit and talk about Luxor. That was, we went there at night, right? So the big thing about Luxor is seeing it all lit up at night and just kind of stunning. But before we went to Luxor, we went to what was that? It's called the Winter Palace. It's a hotel called the Winter Palace, which was another palace. It's now a hotel. And our guide told us that part of Luxor is under that palace, like one of the most sacred temples, which is it's kind of down, it's pretty far away, but it's pretty, it's not too far. It's close enough to actually be part of it. So it's interesting that they would build a palace on top of the temple, and no one knows that unless you know somebody that knows that. So how many of these structures, like in Cairo, like Cairo City is built over how many ruins already? And they're just like this, the secrets are still there and they're known. It's just a matter of who knows it. And you were reading a book or listening to a book that said some temple, they built the Cairo airport right over this temple, right? What was that?
Yeah, and this was a Grandmother Anna book. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. I was listening to the audiobook of it. And I didn't even know that it was going to go into this, but as soon as the next chapter that I was listening to, it talks about the grandmother of Jesus going and training in Egypt. And she said that there was this massive temple that she went and trained at that is located present day directly under the Cairo airport. And that there was actually a mass, like a whole
Civilization.
civilization essentially all underground under Cairo. Like it's a huge network that's just been buried and built on top of. Very powerful place.
It doesn't just start at the pyramids and that's it. Like obviously it would go the other direction too. And I think it's, because what's really sad about Egypt is there's a hard line where there's, poverty and trash and buildings are falling down and, everyone's begging for money. And then you have this immaculate hotel and all these beautiful, this beautiful museum and then the pyramids, and it looks like picturesque on one side and the other side, you just turn the camera around and you're like, whoa. And that to me, that is intelligently designed to hijack that energy, right? Like to keep everybody in that frequency.
Poverty, lack.
Right. And
Yeah.
building on top, surely whenever they started building, they knew they were building on top of something. Like our guide told us in some areas, you can just dig anywhere and you could find artifacts. And he said he wasn't talking about pottery. He said you might find a gold statue. Like it's just unreal everywhere you look. And it's just, you know, who gets access, who gets permission to do that? It's the wrong people, you know?
So you were
Right.
gonna talk about Luxor.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, part of Luxor went underneath that hotel, which I found very interesting because that's just like that proves, okay, there's underground tunnels and access point to there. And I thought Luxor was, you know, impressive to look at, but everyone was feeling like there's very dense energies there, except you got a lot of like soul fragment retrieval, which was beautiful. But like for me personally and a number of people in our group, it was very physically demanding to walk around on that site. Actually, every pain in my body was flared up to the point where I almost had to stop walking. You know, my knees hurt, my lower back hurt. It was like all this pressure on me. And there's just I think the history there, one era of the history wasn't as pleasant. Like they tell you this grand story of like all these sites, and they never talk about anything negative that might happen there. And I think something actually really bad happened in Luxor that we need to go and like heal, you know, and reconnect those threads. And I could share like what they were talking about, but I don't even know if I feel comfortable bringing that up. But it just wasn't.
fine.
It wasn't actually. It was a lot of slave labor, and the people there didn't actually want to be there. It was a very, you know, dark, totalitarian, you know, draconian rule there.
Yeah. And then you got the Christians who came in and defaced a lot. There's just like so many layers of history in these places. They defaced all of their, I was shocked how tedious it is to like deface all of these, all the gods and deities and
Yeah, you see a lot where their faces are like chiseled off, or like whole like hieroglyphs are like chiseled off the wall or erased off the wall, and yeah, tons of that kind of stuff all over the
Right.
place.
You came in and gave a thumbs up about the
I mean,
airport
that's so
thing.
cool that you read that in that book, because I have to keep finishing that book. I can't wait, so
Yeah.
that's awesome.
it's in like chapter 3. She talks about it.
Perfect.
Yeah. I had no idea she was even gonna talk about that.
Oh, so what?
Yeah.
So what's the book again? Because everyone in the chat's probably gonna know.
Grandmother Anna is what it's called.
By who?
I don't know. Is Katie
I don't know.
It's Claire herself.
Claire
Let me
something?
look.
Okay, we're. Please hold.
But also
Yeah.
what's interesting is she mentions like Akhenaten was coming through for me a lot during the trip. And she mentions Akhenaten's mystery schools, which I thought was interesting. And he's like hybrid galactic pharaoh, like he wasn't human.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of pictures of some of the statues and stuff, but you can see his eyes, his body shape is just different. He's different. The elongated skull. So that's really interesting.
The one thing that impressed me the most was, you know, it can be interpreted any way you want, and they sell you the story. But I mean, if you ever need evidence of the giants, like it's right there in the writing. They have
Right.
the gigantic depiction of this being where with people that
Next
don't
to a bunch of little,
that
right,
don't even meet their knees or their shins, you know.
right,
And the doorway to the temples are built for that height people. And these
massive
gigantic,
doorways.
yeah, and these gigantic tombs we were seeing were obviously for something different than a human. Then you're looking at all the hieroglyphs, you're seeing lions, dog people, rabbit people, like these people with ears,
Reptilians,
like hippo,
yeah,
I
everything.
mean, alligator people. I mean, literally all these different species and races of extraterrestrials like seem to be coexisting. And like I'm looking at this, I'm like, you really have to be a fool to think that these were humans. Like this is like at some point, like if it was ever like a slavery aspect to the story, it was later on that humans were like ordered to deface some of this stuff. And like and you can see so much, like I think at some point maybe we were created and used as slaves in some capacity, but it's a story of extraterrestrials and interdimensional travel, portals, stargates, ascension chambers. I mean,
Ascension mechanics.
it's a magnificent history, and the interpretation, sometimes I'm listening to it and everything in my body is saying like no, that is just wrong.
Right.
Yeah, and go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it was interesting looking at all the hieroglyphs everywhere at these different sites. It's literally like, a lot of it is a map to Ascension. I just found that really interesting, if you kind of feel into it.
Lots of like Stargates and portal, like that's what Carrie was pointing out the whole time. She's like, look at all the gates. There's gates everywhere. There's stargates depicted
Portal
everywhere.
doors,
Everything's
the
portals.
The false doors.
Those were my favorite.
Yeah,
Right.
which if you've heard Jerry Will's testimony when he went to Peru and he spoke that phrase or whatever it was in front of that false door and he disappeared.
Mhm.
Well, I think that the same exact thing would happen. There's a false door right there.
Yep, right there.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So I think the same exact thing
Good
would
one.
happen if you stood in front of that and spoke whatever key phrase you needed to activate it, and
Mhm.
you would just be gone.
Yeah, I want to add, so whenever we did, Abby was doing a toning and I was meditating and I saw a vision of these different like deities, you know, the ancient Egyptians, what they call deities, but I don't think they weren't like deities. They all pointed to a corner of the room. My eyes are closed and I'm like, what are you guys pointing at? And then I see like this light and I see this portal opening up. And then after the toning, I opened my eyes and then I looked. I don't know why I didn't like look at that moment. It was dark and you know, we're in the middle of this meditation. And I opened my eyes and then I look over where they were pointing and they were pointing at this. And I was
Ah,
like, holy shit. What they were saying was it's still active. Like
yeah.
we opened something
Right.
Yeah.
and
And-
energy and things were coming through like positive things.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
nice.
whenever while I was meditating right next to that, we were doing this meditation, and it seemed like, you know, when your eyes are closed and you can still sense the light, right? And it seemed like the whole room went dark. I heard it sounded like somebody slammed their hand against the wall, right where the false door would be, and the whole room went dark. And I saw Sekhmet appear, like in her Lyran form,
Mhm.
and it was absolutely stunning, like majestic. Like there's no words to describe being in the presence of a being like that. And I just experienced that. And there was the same time she was like getting the hit to look over there. There was a portal. And so it was all like I was experiencing, and we were all like, you know, experiencing our own versions of that.
Mhm.
And it was kind of beautiful. And I just
Yeah.
want to really quickly remind everybody who wasn't here at the beginning that we are doing a flash sale for our conference. If anybody wants to come to Rebels of Disclosure this year, May 12th through the 15th in Grafton, Illinois, it's like 40 days away, right around the corner. It's going to be a blast, but we're doing a flash sale, 15% off the 4-day passes and the virtual passes with promo code Egypt, journeytotruth.online. That link is below in the description. Take advantage of that. It's only going to last for 24 hours. So if you're listening to this and you want to come to the conference, it's a great deal. And then once that sale ends, also right now that all the tickets come with a free t-shirt, so you'll get a t-shirt with it. But once the sale ends, the t-shirt deal ends as well. So take advantage of that. And if you can't make it in person, grab a live stream pass. It's going to be a lot of fun.
You want to talk about this place?
Okay, yes.
Ah,
So first of all, I want to ask Jace or Alexis or anyone else in the room here if they have anything to say or want to chime in on anything. No? Okay. Okay, you good? All right.
let me maybe show, like, just kind of show a picture of. So I already got it pulled up. So we're about to talk about this underground space.
That's funny. I was just gonna ask you guys if you went there.
Telepathy.
That place is insane. Those things are crazy.
Yeah, so yeah, we have a lot of theories about that place.
Whole underground network.
Carrie had some theories about those.
So
She's like, I think they were they're like flying through space and getting hit by asteroids, and that's why they have like these dents all over them.
yeah,
That's kind of like the
That-
entrance.
that's the entrance.
Oh yeah.
So interesting. Okay, that is really interesting what you just said. So they are
That's what
very,
Carrie.
they're very dented and warped, and they're gigantic sarcophagus. Is that a
They're
human?
not.
They're not. No,
Yeah.
I personally thought when I was walking down these hallways,
Yeah.
so
Nice.
terrible.
Yeah, sorry guys, but there's a human there, so you can see the size.
And they're like laser cut, like
Right.
like the precision on those.
So let's talk about the site before we confuse people. So this is in Saqqara, near Saqqara,
Saqqara.
and it's the Serapeum they call it, or Seraphim.
Serapeum.
Serapeum. I think our guy was calling it the Serapeum or Serapeum, whatever. The place itself was impressive above ground, and I didn't even know about this. And then he took us underground, and we're in an underground tunnel network, and every so many feet on both sides were these chambers with these tombs in them, right? These sarcophaguses, but they were gigantic you could fit 10 people inside of one of them.
Massive.
And they're impossibly heavy.
Oh my, yeah.
They're
I
impossible.
think they said like over 100 ton. They each
Yeah.
weigh over 100 tons.
So
So
the whole
do
time,
the math.
the whole time I'm thinking to myself, each one of those I felt like was a Stargate to a different system. Like you would get inside of it and close the lid and you would just like say your key phrase and you were just gone, right? Like kind of like the King's Chamber. I think it mimicked that. And I think it was like just the whole thing was like an interdimensional airport. Like you just go into different chambers and you were off to different star systems. But
Makes
that's
sense.
interesting about what Carrie said. It looked like it'd been like through space. And
They,
like
they do, don't they?
it looked
They have
like
like dents all over them
yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Can you reach over and turn that heater off? Just,
You're hot?
yeah, it's warm in here, isn't
Wow.
it?
Usually you're cold.
I know. But so I felt like, to me, that was like the first place we went to, and it was the most impressive because I just don't know why I've never heard of that site before until we were there. I'm like, what is this? I wanted to spend all day there because for one, we were just walking in the underground tunnels,
Mhm.
and that was fun. That was impressive to me. And then there's just such a mystery, like what happened here? What went on here? It
Right.
didn't feel like any of the other sites. It was extremely impressive. It's called the Serapeum or the Serapeum or the Seraphim, which is really interesting. And the Seraphim connection, the Serapeum, those people look like Romans, like Greek and Roman. Whenever we were in the museum, they don't look like the Egyptians. They looked more biblical, if that's the right way to describe them. But
That was Saqqara?
yeah, in Saqqara, yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Which is where the step pyramid is too.
That's
The
where-
only
Yeah.
step.
Yeah. So did you have anything else to add to that site, about that site, Willie?
No.
No,
Because I haven't like tuned into that more, but
that's the
There's
step.
Yeah, that's a step pyramid, Saqqara.
I was
real,
thinking,
real
like,
quick.
water under it, but anyway.
Yeah, go ahead, Aaron.
So I took a little bit of video. I don't know why I couldn't find it when I was making my compilation video, but I remember taking video in there, and then that was the only video I took that there was like thousands of orbs that showed up.
I was just watching a video with tons of orbs. Man, I wish you
Thousands
could
and
see that.
thousands of orbs in the video when I took video there. Yeah, but
I know
no
some
other.
people are saying that it was dust, which there is dust, but the way these are changing
Not dust.
directions. Yeah. No, yeah. There's so many
There you
orbs.
go.
Hopefully
Yep, you
people
got
can
orbs too.
see that. That's
Well,
not that great, but
and I think Lily's gonna do a video on her own channel breaking down some of the stuff and,
yeah, this is crazy.
and showing footage.
That's Saqqara too.
That's
Oh
that's not the
my
step pyramid, but that's the Serapeum or whatever.
Yeah, the orbs are
But
going
anyway,
nuts.
it's like this
They're just
huge.
using it and we're standing there like, what is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll share some of the footage on I'll probably go live next Sunday, not this Sunday, because I'm moving this Sunday. Moving officially. This is my new studio, by the way.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah,
Congrats.
I will say real briefly on the topic of Saqqara, that's I was telling you, like before I had ever heard that was an Egyptian city or anything, I woke up one morning living in Sedona and like I heard a female voice like coming out of that Twilight Zone dream state, and it was just like Saqqara. Saqqara. It was
Wow.
like, and I had no idea.
Really?
And then I looked it up and found that, but other than that, I know nothing about it. So I feel like
There
there's
you go.
something important
But
there.
that's the way I feel. That's why it was so impressive to me. I'm like, no, there's so much more to the story, and it's way more significant than, they just bring us down there and like, oh yeah, these are, some tombs and whatever. I'm like, no, that's not what happened here at
Just some
all.
giant sarcophaguses that
Yeah, this is-
whatever.
It was
Like-
arguably one of the most impressive things I saw the whole trip. That
Right.
besides the unfinished obelisk, we went there too, which
Mhm.
you've seen that, and
Yeah.
that's just massively impressive. You're like,
It
how?
is.
How
Yeah.
far is it from Cairo?
That's in Aswan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was like a 5-day boat ride up the
Oh,
Nile
wow.
to get to it.
Aswan's pretty far south of Cairo. Yeah. Yeah.
Dang.
Did you guys go to the Valley of the Kings?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's what we're talking about. I saw the guy in a Camp David shirt. And,
Oh, that was there. Okay, gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah, and I felt the Stargate under there. well, I started meditating in one of the tombs and
And Lily was recognized there by one of her fans.
Oh yeah, nice.
So cool.
It's a Valley of the
Hey.
Kings. You know, there's a sea of,
Sign.
yeah, there's a sea of people. And she's like, "Are you Lily Nova?"
No, she was yelling my
That's it.
name.
That's awesome.
So on
You're
that
famous.
topic of
Alien?
Valley of the Kings.
Yeah, go ahead.
What, that's what I heard Sedona was in this respect. Like when I moved here, it was like, this is the American Valley of the Kings, but I still don't really know what
Ah.
that. So
Wow.
maybe you guys can have
Well-
more context with why that might be.
That's interesting. I know, I connected with a Stargate there and I felt I wasn't expecting to do any of that whenever I just felt guided to kind of meditate in this one spot. And then I put my hand up and funny enough, whenever I opened my eyes on the hieroglyphs, there were women holding their hand up like this. And it looked like they had like a staff type thing, which reminded me of like Ark of the Covenant. And they were standing on a doorway, which looked like a portal. And I was like doing the same thing that they were doing without even realizing it. But I connected with the Stargate and it felt like I was helping to activate it. And so I feel like that site, I don't know, just
Yeah.
that site was incredibly important and that day was incredibly important. Like whenever that started happening and I started peeking into that, I was like, this is why I'm here. Like this is one of the main reasons why I'm here. And I was seeing like galactics, I was sensing them undercover walking around that site. So I know, so that's just what I got so far. But I know there's tons more to dive into with that, but that's what I
Do
got
they
so
have the
far.
statues of the giant statues? Are those in Valley of the Kings? Of like the 40-foot tall?
It's mostly like underground
Okay.
tombs and shafts, but I know there's much more under that.
No,
Yeah.
those 40-foot tall statues, that was an Abu symbol, their recreations. Actually, they were 60 feet tall. But there's
Crazy.
other sites with large statues too, so we could be talking about anywhere really.
Well, because that's one of the things in Sedona we've talked about is like that so many of these rock formations were probably statues of different kinds,
I'm
like
seeing a
Egyptian.
huge power source under Valley of the Kings, just
Mhm.
like a huge energetic source.
Yeah, somebody in the chat here is saying you can see the kings and the rock along there if you look closely, they're saying.
In
Right.
Sedona?
Oh, yeah.
No, in Egypt, in the Valley of the Kings.
Oh, yeah, there were a lot there too, actually, yeah, I did
Yeah.
notice.
But yeah, Sedona, who was it we had on the show? Devara Thunderbeat.
Maybe, yeah.
She's like documented all the like ancient statues and sphinx and all kinds of like Egyptian stuff that if you look, it looks exactly like all of that stuff
In Sedona.
In
Yeah,
Sedona, where you guys are at. Yeah.
And like
All over the
crazy,
place.
like very uncanny, like
yeah.
when
Yeah.
you actually see the resemblance there.
But-
And I was
It's
telling-
obvious. Yeah.
I had a dream where I was in like a ship above Sedona and I was looking down and it felt like it was the ancient past. And instead of it being Egyptian, I was mostly seeing Greco-Roman statues, which you were bringing up the Greco-Roman style figurines that they found there.
Right.
And there was like bunches of people running around, but it was like the kind of classic like Roman power poses and Trojan, but it was like all the red rocks in Sedona.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a lot of that in Egypt too, and it was before all that. I forgot what era he told me that was from. Like the chariots and stuff, it wasn't from like, Rome. It started in Egypt.
Yeah.
And then like it was adopted, but a lot of it looks like it was taken straight from Greece.
Well, maybe it was even Atlantean
Yeah,
before that, because that would explain the whole Grand Canyon Atlantean connection.
Yeah.
With this being right there.
right.
Mm.
So, I mean, yeah, we can talk about, did we gonna say something? Okay.
Yeah.
We can talk about the connection of Egypt, not just in Sedona, but all over the United States. Right?
All over the United States. Yeah.
The
Or just North
Mississippi,
America, maybe in general.
somebody pointed out that the Mississippi River actually fits the description of the Nile
Mhm.
in the Bible better
Saw that.
than the actual Nile itself.
Mhm.
And in the middle of Mississippi, it says ISIS, but also Southern Illinois, and even St. Louis, there's all kinds of Egyptian history that's being buried and suppressed. And, in our Cahokia Mountain documentary, we point that out, but there's Cairo, Illinois,
Cairo, Illinois is in Southern
Pyramid Lake, there's Memphis. I mean,
Memphis, Tennessee, right? Is
well,
right.
even in in
Illinois.
Illinois.
Oh, in
Yeah,
Illinois, there's a Memphis too. Okay.
yeah, but there's a number of
Oh.
Egyptian cities in Illinois.
And
But
Cahokia.
Memphis, Tennessee is really close to
Yeah,
Mississippi
right.
too, and that's right there too. Yeah.
Right.
And I saw, whenever I did some like remote viewing on Cahokia Mounds, I saw a bunch of ancient Egyptian artifacts that eventually would be dug up there.
Right.
Yeah.
And well, I think some of them, like Harry Hubbard, had some artifacts that were discovered there, which are debatable artifacts, but they were very Egyptian. Yeah.
Well, he
And-
claims like
and-
a lot of those have been tested to be proven to be like 2,000 years old.
Right.
He's like they've been there, and he's like, so unless 2,000 years ago they were making fake Egyptian artifact, you know, which I guess
Right.
you could say is possible, but like there's a lot of proof at least that those are not. If you want to make the argument they're fakes, they at least you can't make the argument they're any recent made.
Right.
They were made 2,000 years ago at least.
Yeah.
So
I want to add, and that's where the day after your guys' conference, there's a field trip to Cahokia Mounds, which is cool. That's a very,
Yeah.
very powerful site, incredibly powerful.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to come to the conference, on Friday, the 16th, we leave the conference and go to Cahokia, and it's always very activating for people. And there's a fantastic taco truck too.
yeah, it's amazing.
I remember that one.
Yeah,
Be there.
everybody, like, that's the big highlight afterwards.
Yeah.
Or before, depending. Yeah,
That's really why everybody goes.
Yeah, yeah,
That's-
the
that's the-
mount, yeah, we really go for the taco truck and the mounds.
Yeah.
Plus.
After all
That's
those-
just the bonus. Yeah. It's
When
just-
the first time the conference before last, I did a meditation with my singing bowls at Woodhenge at the Cahokia Mound site, not on the
Mhm.
mountain, but at Woodhenge, which is like a Stonehenge but made of like wood, ancient. And I did a little meditation with Tony and some other people, Tony Rodriguez and some other people, and I saw that site connecting with the ancient Egyptian, with Egypt and the pyramids. And they said from that site, they're connected, and it was helping to activate, like our meditation was helping to activate the energy over there. And it was like a symbiotic thing. So that just,
Right.
I just remembered that. But
And Hopewell Farm, Eric, I believe that's Eric in the chat. He said the taco truck is the bomb. And by the way, guys, if you're interested in trying a new CBD, Hopewell Farm is, they have the best CBD. They've worked with Jason Electrics in the past. Lily, she's an affiliate with Hopewell Farm, Eric and Nancy, and they will be a vendor at our conference as always. And you can save some amount of percent on their products. We haven't talked about it in so long, but we have the promo code. I think I'm going to look in the chat right now. Just blah, 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 10% off of all their products with promo code Journey to Truth 10. Some really amazing stuff. Actually, this is a great testimony, Eric. So unfortunately, somebody on our trip broke their ankle while we were in Egypt.
Oh no.
They fell off, they tripped off the bus and broke their ankle. And guess what got them through the pain? The Hopewell Farm CBD that I brought. She loved it. I gifted her the bottle. It was the 1,500 milligram. She gave it back to me. I was like, no, you can keep it. She's like, oh, really? And like, she couldn't take it back fast enough. So she really enjoyed it. It helped because there was, the medical system. It's not what we have over here. It's very rudimentary. So, Hopewell Farm CBD is great if you break your ankle.
That is a huge testament, and that stuff. That's the most potent CBD like I've ever. It's amazing stuff. It really is, guys.
And-
If you guys are into CBD at all, like it's the best CBD out there.
Right. And what's interesting too is, well, for one, I just forgot what I was going to say because I was wondering where she was going. Oh yeah, so our guide, because he came and asked me if I had any CBD, and I was like, yeah. And so I got the product bus stuff here, and then afterwards he gave it to her, and he came back. He goes, thank you for smuggling that in, because you're not technically supposed to bring the CBD over,
Right, right.
Yeah.
That's an Aquarian thing, the ankles.
What do you mean?
The Aquarius rules the ankles, and so whatever she's going through, left or right foot, I would ask her like, okay, well, let me see your chart and see what's going on with your Aquarius placement stuff. And I don't know, I've sprained both my ankles as an Aquarius moon, so I don't know if you have, Aaron, like, how's your ankles?
Well,
My ankles are great.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've sprained an
Right.
ankle.
Aaron has heavy Aquarius energy, that's why I'm asking.
I'm a double Aquarius. I'm Aquarius Sun and Rising.
Oh, so you're protected from it then.
Yeah,
I'm
maybe.
protected, probably right.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
that
already,
thing.
I'm already so Aquarius. I'm protected. Right. Exactly.
So,
Right.
okay, really quick while I got you here,
Mhm.
let's talk about the solar shrapnel. What
Okay.
you were talking about earlier. I love that term. You were like, well, I didn't even know what you were talking about. You were just talking about we're getting hit with shrapnel. I'm like, shrapnel, what do you mean? So please explain.
Sure. So especially when you guys were out there and during these disclosures, the sun was also doing a lot of stuff, and that's what I report on every day. And we had a huge X-class solar flare, and it created a huge coronal mass ejection, and a lot of protons came out. So they call it a solar proton storm. And the solar proton storms is the shrapnel. And if you even watch the footage, you'll see it pass by the satellite sometimes, and it just looks like snow or something moving past the cameras. And that's a little extra layer to the coronal mass ejections and the aurora and the solar wind that doesn't always happen. So it, in the community that like the and space weather community, basically that's kind of the slang for it, is the solar protons are, they they destroy the equipment. Like you don't want to get the solar proton storm alerts. Exactly, those ones are a little bit sharper, literally. And a lot of shifts happened the last couple days with people, and maybe you did feel like you kind of went through a shredder a little bit, but it was benevolence from the sun, so hopefully you're better off for it.
That was Monday, right?
I believe so, yeah.
We were all
Monday,
saying it was a crazy-
Monday was a
Right,
rough one
Right.
when that came in.
And that was Alexis Buck with Space Weather Today.
Right.
Um,
Like a news segment.
right.
Yeah.
Space weather news.
And really quick, Jace, come in and give us a financial update while we're doing news segments.
Right. Now, Jace, give us the crypto update.
Yeah, the Egyptian version of the
The
financial.
Right.
Yeah, just yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, well, what comes to mind, I guess, is like the XRP saga with the quantum financial system and all that. So basically, there was that big old lawsuit that happened. We were talking about this earlier, like where it's at. The SEC under the last admin had sued Ripple. They were trying to get rid of XRP. Trump comes in and XRP, did a 5X right after he was elected. And then, right after Trump came in, all the markets kind of came down. And right now, especially after this whole Liberation Day tariff thing, we're in a temporary kind of
The
pullback.
tariff fears are bringing everything down right now. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's talked about it like, temporarily it might, hit the economy, but like we're looking at the medium and long run. And I think in the next few months, we're going to see some significant developments, but particularly with XRP, which is, Lily and I have talked about it, Tyler, we talk about it a lot. That's very close to finally finishing up where there's going to be like full legal clarity for basically the QFS to kind of start occurring. So Ripple is in the final, they basically just submitted all the final paperwork to fully end this lawsuit after the Trump admin came out and said they're going to repeal the appeal. And so now it's like in the next 30 to 60 days, that'll be fully wrapped up. And I think that's when we'll start seeing some interesting things going on in the markets and really launching us into this new era of prosperity and, what people call the quantum financial system.
Right. And I will share that dream I had about everything kind of tanking and bouncing back. It was just a very vivid, random dream one night. And I saw, our social media going crazy about XRP tanking. And I pulled it up and I was watching it just drop and it got down to 70 cents. And I'm like, oh shit. And like in my dream, I went to go open, my app and I was going to just dump $5,000 into it while it was low. And by the time I even got the app open, it was bouncing back and it was like at 115 and going, right? So it was like, it was rapidly dropping. It hit this baseline of 70 cents and it just bounced up like a ball. And it just took off from there. And then the dream ended. And I was like waiting all day. I'm like, it's going to tank. So, I mean, right now it actually did get below $2 today. But I wonder if something like that might happen. And I think it might be weeding out the whales and like a number of people and getting the right people in and allowing them to invest.
Yeah. I feel that.
And it's gonna, like, people are gonna panic sell. It's happening right now. Everyone's, they're living in fear because, if you're not paying attention, you don't really understand what's happening. And I understand why you would want to pull your money out. But if you hold on to it, I think everyone's going to be very grateful. This is not financial advice, by the way.
Well, that's why you invest in things with conviction. And then, it's like if I know something I'm invested in is going to be the future, like is going to be something, it's like, as far as I'm concerned, there's zero chance it's going to zero or it's going to just stay at a low, you know? So like, why would I panic? Why would I sell when it's way down? You know, it makes no sense. But that's what the average person that doesn't, the average person doesn't invest with conviction. They just like, they're either gambling or they're just like, you know, oh yeah, I'll, you know, when things are good, I'll put my money in. So, and then when it goes down, oh my God, this is the end of the world, I'm gonna sell. Like, and then you get wrecked. And that's how the elites have played us for so long because they know human psychology and they're like, oh yeah, we'll manipulate the markets, get them all to sell, and then we'll buy up everything when it's low and then sell when it's high, and you know.
Right.
So
But as far as XRP, you know, that's the XRP is going to be, it has to be worth a insanely high number to do what it was designed to do. So like, you really understand that. It's like everyone would be investing in it if they knew, you know, it's the future. As far as I'm
Right.
And
concerned.
if we do get like a big crash like that, which I know Lily's picked up on, and obviously Tyler's dream, and that's been something that in that community has been discussed for years, like, you know, big black swan potential event. I
Mhm.
think it's going to be like Tyler's dream if it does happen, where you're not necessarily going to actually get the buying opportunity at those prices. Like it could dip, but it's going to most likely be so quick. And also the exchanges tend to go down when that stuff happens, like
Yeah.
Coinbase, Crypto.com. You can't
Right.
even like
And then you
access
can't do
them.
anything anyway. Right.
Yeah, so like I think my plan is, you know, keep buying when I can, hold, you know, long term. And for me, I don't, you know, people ask like, when are you going to sell it? Like, what's your price? You know, what's your sell points? And never for me, you know, if I need to spend it, of course, then I will. But why would you why would you sell something into a currency that is currently depreciating when you know the other currency is going to appreciate relative to that currency? And like Aaron said, it's got to be a super high price in order to do these cross-border payments. And if this is
Right.
stuff that's like all new to you guys, go watch like the show I did with Lily on her channel. That was really fun. And Tyler and I have done shows before. And I just did a talk at the conference in Sedona that we were just at that I'm going to upload onto my YouTube. So you guys can check out my YouTube channel in the next week. I'll put that up.
So you also have Conscious Crypto Academy. Just talk really quickly.
Yeah. So Conscious Crypto Academy is my online school and community. We've got over 100 people, and we teach you how to invest. We are a spiritual community that is holding the vision that we're going to use this money to be of service to others. So it's not about having mansions and Lambos. It's about like building the infrastructure of the new earth. And I think that the people that are feeling called to this spiritually, there's a reason for it. And I think the people that aren't feeling called to it, there's a reason for that too. And I think God is guiding the right people in the right direction right now. So if you do feel called to it and you need help, I'm here to help. My YouTube is Cosmic Origins, and you know, you can find me on Instagram as Cosmic Origins too, or I don't know, if reach out to Tyler or something, and
Right.
you know, if we can connect.
And hopefully maybe you'll be at the conference with it. You can even have
Yeah,
a little
that'd be dope.
table or booth and you know, you can talk about it or whatever.
That'd be sweet.
And then I guess we'll Alexis come back in here and tell everyone how to find you.
Sure. I also have a YouTube channel you can follow. It's called Ascension Diaries, and I'm basically tracking the space weather alongside all of the other psychic medium hits I'm getting as a psychic medium. So I do psychic medium work with people and I track the space weather basically to track people's ascension and their abilities turning on and dealing with the speed bumps of it. And we have a huge community. I have a Telegram and Instagram too as well if you're interested. And we just chit chat about the big shifts that come in and how they affect us. And it's just a way to ground when we're being pushed to the absolute limit to grow spiritually and as souls on earth as usual. But it's been fun to track, and I have a lot of fun with it now because triggering people is a part of it as well. So, you know, the crypto is just a piece of all of the waves of coming in and out. So it's just solar and crypto and people's moods. It's all connected. The global brainwave activity, the global storms, all of the earthquakes, and then the fake earthquakes and the fake storms, like all of it. We have to track the whole process basically. And I do my best astrologically. It's a big job, but it's not like it's all the only thing I care about really. It's too fun to watch everything. I don't want to miss any of the details, especially about locations activating
Yeah.
is super important because Earth is the mission, in my opinion, and it's getting it back to its heaven experience, and all of the people who follow resonate with that, and
Right.
we find each other.
And yeah, that was beautiful. And Lily, do you have anything that you want to
How do
add?
I follow up with that? That was very nicely summarized.
Right.
So you can find me on Lily Nova Starseed YouTube channel. I post very frequently on there. I go live every other Sunday, and then I post here and there between that too. I share galactic updates and messages, and then also psychic hits that I get. Sometimes I'll do like kind of remote viewing, or I kind of just see what's coming up in the collective and what the galactics and ETs are showing me as well. And in the alliance are kind of my main
Right.
people. So
And you have a few retreats coming up. I think they're all sold out, right?
yep.
Yeah, so no reason to talk about those.
Well, I'll be doing more. I'm freshly in Sedona, so if you are interested in spiritual retreats or energy vortex retreats, I do them in Sedona and Mount Shasta so far. I may be expanding into other areas. So I don't know. You can sign up for my email list on my website, lilynovacontact.com, if you would like to stay updated on that whenever I have new things open. I'm sure I'll be doing a ton of things in Sedona now that I live here.
Yeah, and
Lily, real quick, people are in the chat asking, where is Kylo?
My baby.
Where's your baby?
So he arrives Saturday. My mom's bringing him.
Ah.
Yeah. So she's bringing him and some of the rest of my stuff up here. So he will be joining me shortly.
yeah,
And Kylo is Lily's cat, for those of you who don't
right.
know.
Yeah, it's Kylo Ren actually from Star Wars.
It's actually Kylo Ren from Star Wars.
Yeah, yeah, she. So anyway, and Lily, like I said earlier, Lily is going to be presenting at our conference, and who knows what's going to come through by then. It's only 40 days away, something like that. So it's going to be really interesting. We're very excited about. Lily speaks on the last day. I think Susan Manowich starts the day. Actually, Jackie Kenner is going to do a workshop. Susan Manowich is going to speak. And then it's Lily, and then Zaysan, and then we have a panel that night. So if you want to just come for a day, can't make it for the whole time, it'd be a great day to come to. And if you are just now tuning in, we are doing a 24-hour flash sale. You can save 15% off the 4-day passes and the live stream passes with promo code Egypt. Go to journeytotruth.online. That link is below in the description, and take advantage of it. We'd love to see you there. It's going to be a blast. And by the way, this is our last year in Grafton. For now, we may go back one day, but for now, it's our last year in Grafton. So if you've been wanting to come out there, this is the time to do it, because next year we are going to Hawaii on the Big Island, April 20th through the 24th. It's all getting locked in very soon. And there's going to be a website, a page on our website, hopefully within the next couple of weeks, where we're going to be starting a pre-sale for that. And it's going to be more of a retreat than a conference. It's going to be a conference/retreat. We're going to be
Both.
swimming with the dolphins, going to some sacred sites. The venue itself is just like basically all outdoors, so you're not even like cooped up inside. So, it's going to be a very relaxed schedule. It's going to end every day around 5 o'clock. So you have the whole evening in Hawaii to do whatever you want. But when I went in 2019 to the Cosmic Waves Conference, it changed my life. And it was the first time I ever felt like I actually experienced true happiness, because I had left my false identity. Through I was lying to myself who I was, and I was finally getting to be who I was, my authentic self, around a group of strangers, my star family, and we were out in a boat, and it was just a magical moment for me. And I just want to recreate that for anyone else who is looking for that, because it's going to be it feels like another planet out there. So we can't wait to announce all that and get the pre-sales rolling. But Grafton is going to be amazing. It's going to be kind of special because it's our last year there. So if you feel like you want to join us, it's a very heart-centered event. It's not so much about the information, but we have bonfires every night and sky watches, and it's just, there's we eat all of our meals together. It's a buffet style. It's a very community based event, and everyone just has a blast. There's a lot of Sasquatch on the property. Lily taps into them. Everyone's tapping into them. We go on, squatching at night, whatever. It's just a lot of fun. And you can camp, you can glamp, you can RV. The lodge itself is sold out, but you can get Airbnbs in town, so Journey to Truth online. We would love to see you there. And Aaron or anyone else have any last words before we wrap this up? No?
Nope.
I think I announced everything I needed to announce, so
Mhm.
we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. So the end. Good night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in,
Hi guys.
and we will see you next time. Have a great evening.